What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the channel. My name is Travis and I produce content for homeowners and up-and-coming heating and air technicians, teaching you everything you need to know about heating and air. I just want to start off, and you guys probably know my uploads haven't been much lately. I've probably been doing one a week. That's because the weather around here in North Carolina has been kind of crazy. Personally, I love 70-degree weather in the wintertime, but when you're doing heating and air, it kind of doesn't work out so good. So it's starting to get a little bit colder again. More uploads will be coming. But on today's service call, what we're going to be doing is be changing a Carrier gas pack heat exchanger. It's the model 48GS style gas pack. It's a pretty common heat exchanger that we run into all the time. So guys, if you want to see how I change a heat exchanger and how it's done, stay tuned. I'll meet you at the furnace. Okay, here's the gas pack we're changing the heat exchanger on. The first thing that we're going to do is obviously remove power to our unit, let everything get turned off. Now the heat exchanger sits behind this cabinet here. So what we're going to need to do first, we're going to need to remove our covers. This side panel is probably going to come off because a lot of times that comes out the side. We're going to need to undo our gas line, and we're going to need to take our electrical out. So let's go ahead and start taking off our cover plates. All right, so we say our heat exchanger sitting behind here. We're going to have to remove all this stuff with the burners and everything. What I usually do is take those and just set them over to the side over here, and we'll go remove this panel here, and our heat exchanger is actually going to come out the side or come out the front, just depending on whatever is easier. So let's go ahead and start taking it off. I'm going to start removing our power, start taking our gas line off, and we'll go from there. All right, we got a little screw here on our electrical. We need to screw that off, and that way we can pull our electrical line straight out the side. And that comes off. All right, we got that out. We can pull our electrical out the side now. All right, and the next thing we'll do, we will remove our gas line, but we will have to turn our gas off first. Okay, we've got our union loose from our gas line. And what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to remove this gas line completely out of the furnace. So I'm going to start by removing this part here, and then I can turn it out of my gas valve and pull it straight out. So let's go ahead and start removing that line. Okay, we got this line loose. We'll go ahead and remove this part here. All right, we got that line off. Now we want to remove it out of our gas valve. So we got everything here. So everything is loose off this panel except for our thermostat wire. We're going to take that off, and pretty much it goes back very easy. You just got, 5 or 6 wires here. It's just a regular gas furnace. So we're going to remove that, and we're going to start taking this panel off, and then start taking our components out here. Okay, we got our thermostat wire out. Let's go ahead and start taking these screws out to remove our side. Get a little screw up in there. All right, and here is our heat exchanger that we're replacing. And when I checked this unit, it had a rust hole on the other side. Checked it from the blower side. You could see the blower motor there. If you remove the blower motor, you can check all around this heat exchanger without removing that side. So we got everything off now. Now we've got to remove everything that's attached to this bracket here and our burners, and so we can set those over. All right guys, I try to set it up so you can kind of see everything. So what we'll do first, we're going to remove our burners. The screw here for our burners. We got to take off our ground screw here. Now with that, we can take our burners straight out. We can set those over to the side here. And next thing we want to do is we want to remove this panel. And this is connected by screws on the opposite side over here. So I'm going to remove those. And we've got a screw in the back right behind this. The way they've got this thing set, we're going to need to take that out. Or just position it where it'll come off. All right, so we can set this over. Now what we need to do is we've got screws in our inducer motor assembly. We got to take those out. Once that's taken out, we can take all of our wiring and everything and set it over to the side. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, we got everything loose. Now we can take our burners, our control board, and our inducer motor and just pop these over to the side, get them out of our way. And we need to take this little shield off for our inducer motor. All right, we have a few little screws on this side here that holds our heat exchanger still to that wall. So we've got to, before we put everything on this side, we just need to find those screws, which is probably here and probably one up there. We want to remove those, and that is really all that holds this heat exchanger in, and from that point we can pull it straight out of the side. Okay, our heat exchanger is pretty loose. Now all we need to do is lift this top up. And this heat exchanger should pull right out the side. All right, there we go. We got the heat exchanger pulled out. Now we need to go ahead, get our other heat exchanger and start putting this thing back together. Okay, this is our new heat exchanger, and this is our old one here. And as you can see, this top of this heat exchanger, you've got a plate that goes and it transfers right here onto this new one. A lot of times we like to replace this shield when we do a heat exchanger. We're not able to do that on this one. So if that's the case, we go use this shield and we go put it back on this furnace. And basically you've got screws going up and down the sides of this. So basically we'll take those off, we'll go apply it right here and go ahead and get that heat exchanger ready to be put in. All right, we took that off. And basically this goes right back on here like so. And all we got to do is line our screws up, screw those back in, and we should be ready to get this heat exchanger back up and going. Now I will tell you, this thing does not look good at all. I've made the homeowner aware of this. They're not giving us authorization to do it. But, you know, if they don't want to have it done, there's nothing we can do. So we're going to put this back in. We're going to take some high temperature silicone, put around here for our inducer motor to make sure everything's sealed. I hate this plate. I told them it could just go cause them problems in the future. They act like they don't care. So as a heating and air technician, what do you do when they don't want to do it? So anyway, we'll go ahead and pop this back on and get it ready to be put in. Okay guys, now since we got the front plate back on, all we have to do now is position our heat exchanger to put it back in. Now you have little brackets right here. This is where this bottom bracket fits into. All we need to do is we need to lift that top up, slide the heat exchanger in just like we did when we were taking it out, and everything should slip back in pretty easily. All right, well now our heat exchanger is back in. All we need to do is go around to the other side. We need to line up our screw holes. So you got screw holes here, screw holes at the top. We need to line those up, put our screws in, and our heat exchanger should be pretty stable. Man, I want to show you guys, look at this inducer motor. I just noticed this when I was moving everything around. Look at how this inducer motor is basically rotting through. That's just not good at all. I mean, you look at that on that plate on the front of the heat exchanger. This is just a crazy situation. I'm going to tell this homeowner about this inducer motor. I've already told them about that plate. They act like they don't want to do anything. It's like they want to get out of this as cheap as possible. I mean, what can you do when you're a heating and air technician and a customer will not listen to what you say? The only option I have is, if they don't want to do it, is put everything back, and always put on your invoice that all this stuff that you note. So if you go back and this thing ain't working, that you can sit there and have proof in writing that you recommended all this stuff and it's not your fault. Because if you have luck like I do, you put this all on and you don't mention anything about it, customer call back in because it's not working, and you know, they'll deny that you told them that or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. So let me go around and tell this customer what's up. All right guys, I just talked to the customer, had her out here, and we're showing her this inducer motor. She wants me to see if I can get it to work. What are you supposed to do? I'm supposed to make chicken soup out of chicken crap? I mean, this is ridiculous. I guess what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put high temperature silicone, put this thing back up, and see if we can get it to work. I'm just gonna be very diligent in telling her what my recommendations are, and make sure to note it on my invoice, and then basically let her deal with it. So the next thing we're gonna do, we go put the inducer motor on. We'll get my high temperature silicone and we'll go ahead and do that. All right, what we'll do is we're gonna take a tube of high temperature silicone. We're gonna just go run it right around this inducer motor. Since there's no gasket for it, this will be our gasket. And where this little hole is, I'm gonna try to fill that in as much as I can. And all right, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take our inducer motor. We're gonna set it right back up against this plate and take our screws and screw that in. All right, and all I can do is right here where it's rusted, I'm going to take my high temperature silicone, try to silicone around this as good as I can. And that's is pretty much about as much as we can do with this piece of junk. All right, next we're going to take our circuit board. We're going to set this back into place. Okay, we got our circuit board back in place. Now, all we have to do is take our burners, slide our burners back in, and all we got to do is we got a screw right here that holds our burners in. We got to pop our ground wire on. We got our ground from our burners. We take this capacitor that they had rigged over here for our inducer motor, put that back on. Well, we've got everything back in most of the way. All the screws over here, there's a couple screws we had to pop back in on this side. That holds the heat exchanger up against this plate, and now all we have left from this point is popping our side back on, getting our screws in, and then basically we got to put our high voltage back, our gas pipe back, and hook up our thermostat wires here. All right, we just got to take our scratch off to line our screws up. Okay guys, we got our screws back in. Only thing I'm missing is one right here for my circuit board, one here at the top. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to run my power wires back over. And this went into this hole right here, and it comes out, and we need to hook it back up to our contactor. And there's our ground wire. So we'll hook that back up now. Put our little screw back in, hold it on. All right, we're gonna put our ground wire on first, and then these two power wires, they go right back into the high voltage side of our contactor. All right, we got that back on. Next, we're gonna start with our gas line that's laying over there. I need to go back to my truck, get some pipe dope, put on the threads of our gas line so it doesn't leak, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, whenever you're putting gas line back together, you want to make sure that the threads are sealed. This is a thread sealant, or otherwise called pipe dope. We take that and put it on the threads of our gas line, and that way is to assure that that your gas line, when you tighten it back up, it'll seal the threads and we don't have any gas leaks. So we're just going to put this on sort of like so. to get the big goops and stuff off of it. All right, so we'll stick this back through, hook this into our gas valve. And we'll get this snug with a wrench. All right, now all I got to do is my other two connections that I put on. I'm going to put this one on here. That's going to go for this line to go right up here. So I'm going to get that done, and just to take a second. Okay, we got our gas line hooked back together. Now the only thing we got left, we can actually turn our gas back on at this point. We need to hook up our thermostat wire, which goes right here. Okay guys, I had to skip showing you hooking up the thermostat. My battery had died on my camera, so we've got the thermostat wire hooked up. So now only thing we got to do is we got to turn power on, get this thing started up. Now just always, I don't know if you've seen my other videos on heat exchangers. These heat exchangers get shipped in like a type of an oil, I guess, to keep the heat exchanger from rusting or whatever. So when you turn on the furnace first time after doing a heat exchanger, always let the customer know that the system's going to smoke. It's going to put smoke into the house. So always do that when you start it back up. If not, it's going to a lot of times make their smoke detectors go off, things like that. The customers go wonder what's going on. So just make sure you always tell them about that. So we'll go ahead and turn power on. Make sure everything starts up, which it did. And let me go and tell this customer it's going to smoke. All right guys, the unit is on. We've got flames coming out. Everything's working like it's supposed to. This unit doesn't seem to be smoking a whole lot. I'll let the customer know about it. The only thing I just want to just reiterate, you guys, and especially if you're a homeowner watching this, when your technician recommends something to you, not all of us are cheats or trying to take your money or anything. When we recommend something, we recommend it for a reason. Like on this customer here, the plate for their heat exchanger is rusted through. The inducer motor assembly on this is completely rusted through. Now when we do this heat exchanger, we give the customer the option of replacing that plate. This customer didn't want to do it. They wanted to take the chance of basically it being fine. When I saw it was rusted through, I went in and told the customer about it. They just said, you know, let it go. But the reason we recommend something is for a reason, and like I say, just don't always think your technician's trying to take advantage of you, because I mean, this is two repairs that needed to be taken care of. Now this unit is working fine with the high temperature silicone. I don't know how long it's going to last, but you know, if the customer don't want to listen to you, what else can we do? So, but other than that, this unit's working fine. Everything's going good with it. All we got to do now is put our front cover back on, and that's it to this heat exchanger. So guys, I hope you learned something. I hope I was able to show you with all that other stuff going on. I just wanted to basically get the basics of doing this heat exchanger. The biggest thing about this is finding all the screws that are holding everything in, getting those out, putting those back in. But other than that, that's really all it is. I mean, a very easy heat exchanger to do. So guys, I do hope you learned something. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. It means so much to me. And as always, I will see you on the next one.